learned, and that is that we have these 7 processes in any circular sustainable business model innovation. And yeah, okay, I can continue. Sure. Yeah. Okay. And the first one is, of course, performance. The second one is the business model innovation task. So what we are doing right now with this T business is to figure out which of these we should go with. You draw up very nicely last session the B boards and the reverse butterfly, and then you started on downloading. And as I think we saw pretty much the last part of our session, you saw that we found that this tea business has actually, by coincidence, suddenly embedded more types of business models, like for example the perfume. That is more a kind of you could say a kind of not by coincidence and so on, but they are researching and trying some new crops and so on. Maybe in the aim of, if the situation comes that the climate change so much that it cannot do tea in the future, then it could maybe do perfume instead. And then we have also this solar cell that's kind of, in some sense, come creeping in to the business, and then suddenly it turns out to be an income generating business models. And then there was this talk about that they could maybe be interested to do recycling of plastic. That one I would say is a little bit challenging, related to, if you remember the 3 dimensions on when we characterize innovation, how radical it is, if it's incremental, radical, or disruptive, because it's a little bit sticking out from their core business, so to say. Yes, next. And then we have not done much work on that, but the intention was actually that we should kind of look out and see what can we see out there that other tea businesses are doing, or maybe that if I was speaking about that, I would say then we are looking in the kind of the same branch, the same business. But we could also look horizontal, like we had this example on the blue ocean, where we more looked into other types of ecosystems. And then next, then we're in the sensing now, and it's now your task, so to say, to find the business model that you want to focus on, to hopefully be the business model for the future of the tea business. Uh, I, if I'm not saying that of course, you can take some of those that are you have already listed up here, but you could also choose to simply say, okay, I want to take a completely different one. Not to stop here, I'm just indicating what we are going to do this afternoon. If we take next, um, then the classical way you would work with it is that when you have taken the decision, you have made the task, then it goes into the ideation. It continues on conceptualization, prototyping, and then it goes into the phase where you set up the implementation, and then it goes into ecosystem or market. Next. So I just wanted then to change to the other slide deck, because we will not forget about that we have to close the loop on the business model innovation process. So if we could go to the other slide deck. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So if we double click on the next one, yes. Yes. So you see, when we finish the sensing phase, we are now, or we should actually be ready to go to the business model ecosystem. But we have to take the final decision. I would say if you have detailedly defined how the implementation should be, then it's maybe a little bit late that you take the final decision going with the business model. But we propose two things that you have to address. The first one is letting go and letting come. So we have to take a decision, and that is often done on the high level of the business. This business model presented, are we actually going to take it in? So it's a kind of letting it go from the sensing phase and then go into what is termed as a pre-sensing. Then once the decision have been taken, that's also why I'm playing a little bit with your group, saying that I was asking the different group members, is it really the pencil you are working with, or is it another business model you are working with? And that is because to be totally committed in the team, in the management, or whatever it is, that now we have taken a decision. We want to do this, and then there is no point to return. We have to now go into action planning, acting, and performance. So this is a very, very critical point here, and you have to take it very serious, because if you don't get the commitment here, you will have a lot of challenge as responsible for the sustainable and circular business model area. Next. We have actually we are working now on a model that is not published yet. So you are actually having a glimpse into something that will be published very, very soon. But we have divided the sensing phase up to idea, concept, prototyping, and implementation, where we have also put the action plan and the action into. And if we go next. Of course, it's very easy, because at this time you have already done the measurable success criteria. If it's a greenfield, then it would actually be, if you go 2 slides back, if it was a greenfield and we had defined a task here, then you will actually go into a kind of a phase over here where you will need idea generation. So the task is not actually, how to say, it's not, it's maybe not always a kind of a bubble, but it can be a task that we need to have innovated, but we don't actually really know how to do it. Then in the typical ideation phase, you will actually have an idea generating. This is the classical way. If you go back to the classical way that it often happens is like this, that we just do brainstorming. And brainstorming has shown to be actually one of the not so good tools for doing it, because then you limit your ideation just to what you have in your head and so on. So therefore, there are many tools that you can use for getting ideas. I'm not saying that he's looking quite well, but he's at least trying to get some bubbles. Next. So one thing you can do is, if you have bubbles, is that you could actually take the bubbles and put them on here, and then you could define the 7 dimensions. Next. Another way you can do it is that if you have possibility or you have already in the business, you have defined some business models and some of them are working, then you could put them together, and then you could actually copy into this one. That will actually speed your business model. I'm just thinking about this tea business again. If it goes into plastic and recycling of plastic, then it might not be possible to copy a tea business model into recycling of plastic. So there you might not have sources inside the business, but then you have to maybe to go out and find out, is there somebody else that are doing exactly the same? Then we copy one to one. Yes. So one thing you also have to understand is that when we are doing circular and sustainable business models, we don't have to look at this as a flat kind of business modeling. We could also think about that we have a business here. It's a tea business is making black tea. And then we were maybe thinking about, can we build a business model on top of this? So that was why I took the example of the manure. So we have manure transport. It generates a lot of data. The data creates a possibility to take the data and make a new business model. So stacking business models is not a bad thing. So you could say, if I hold this here, this is the plastic, recycling of plastic, completely new business model. But you could also maybe say, okay, we don't want to go into something that is outside of our core business. So we want to build on what we have already. Then we will just take the data. I don't know what data they have actually, but it could be that this tea generates some data. Maybe the bushes, if they have sensors on the bushes, that these data could maybe be used for something. I'm just a little bit creative on this side. So you don't necessarily have to go into something that is completely different to what you do. I just spoke here this morning about entrepreneurship and innovation to some classes just on the other side of the road, and I told them that they should read Steve Jobs' book about the 10 ways to success. I don't know if you have read it already, but he has also another. I discovered he has also 10 other rules. But one of the things that he says is that you should say no to 1,000 things, and many people come and ask me, shouldn't you do this type of business? Shouldn't you do this type of business? And I say, if I look at my B-Star, I'm working with business models, and you are asking me to go into swimming pool business, then I will immediately say, no, I'm not going to do it, because my core business is within business modeling. So if a professor, associate professor, comes to me from NIT Silja and say, would you like to speak about circular and sustainable business model? Then I will look here. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's actually in my core business. Do you get my point? So that's why the 6 businesses I work with, I have in my a kind of sphere as an entrepreneur, they are all related to this in some sense. At least my involvement in it is. So this B-Star, this core business, as you have at the top of the butterfly, it actually leads my business modeling. Uh, and I think this is a kind of a guideline to how I want to run a business, because theory and also to some extent practice shows that if you go outside of your core business, you invite trouble, and you are in right red zone, and you as you can remember with the tool that I tried to learn you with, complexity, radicality, and reach. Uh, just to make a simple drawing in that one, you can see immediately that you are inviting risk. Many managers, they like risk. They like to have high risk. So in their sense, it could give sense, but not for me. I'm a very, I want to not have too much risk. That's also why I've decided that the last business in my life to open is the one in India. I'm not going to open any more businesses, because you can also see, if I go on the butterfly, I have 6 businesses and I cannot cover more. It's not possible. It's very simple, but it's a way of leading your business. And this is some of the end slides I'm going to talk about. That is sustainable, circular, multi-business model, innovation, leadership, and management. It's a long word, but nevertheless. Okay, next. The generation methods of bubbles and ideas we have already talked about. I think we go next. Then I read, once I was in Australia, I got into a secondhand book shop, and then I found a book from Tsitsi talking about the importance of learning. And what it means is that when you come back from such a course here, when you come back from a conference, many universities groups of researchers in businesses and so on, they send out their employees for courses. But what they lack is often that when they come back, then they don't take some time to have those who have been on the courses for the conference to tell the story about what did they learn, what did they see, and so on. So it actually limits the knowledge just to the person here, and after some few days, he or she has forgotten it. So it's very, very important that you actually present what you have done. And that was also why I was a little bit eager to have you to go around to the other groups to learn what they have done, because that could give inspiration for how you could work with it, improvements, a lot of things. And I know that you are very eager to do this task and finish it within time, so we can come home and have tea after 5 o'clock and so on, and samosas and so on. But there is actually a very, very nice book where, if I push this one over here and I push this one, And it talks about learning. Learning is the raw material for any business model innovation. So let's say, for example, this group here, this and this business is maybe the candy tea business estate, and it is just doing wonderful. It has a lot of good things and so on. Then at some time, and I think that was the what the manager, when he was actually saying, I would actually like to relate to all these three other groups or other businesses. So this theory talks about the double loop learning. The double loop learning works like, that the knowledge we have here, actually, I walk over here and then I give it here. And then I walk around and then I walk home again. Okay? So what means is that now I have given this over here value. Then they can decide if they want to use the value. But one thing that is certain is that if they do not come back with value to this one, then the relation will kind of fade out. Do you get my point? So then I might say, okay, I'll try, I have another try. I go over here, I go around, I give the value, and so on, and then I walk home again. And then I think, and suddenly one of the businesses starts to relate and starts to value forwards and backwards. And the clue is here that if value does not go both ways, then what happens is, because they are very smart businesses, they like to walk and take and never come back with anything. That's how you treat your sub-suppliers. Then you will suck out the values of this business so that they will shrink. So next time their business will look like this. And this is something I think you should really think about, that it's your task, if you are responsible for any kind of business model innovation, and it can be circular and sustainable business model, you have to get new value into your business. Otherwise, you'll shrink. It's not possible to grow, even have your, the theory says actually that, and research says that if you do not get new value into your business, then you will go on the curve. You will start to go in decline. And I know many managers, they say, no, we'll stick to, now we have $100 million here, or $200 billion here. We want to keep it. But they should actually try to use it, at least some percentage of it. So the double loop learning, I think I would very much motivate you to go and have a look at it. It's a very nice way. Also, this about that it's important that those who goes out, that they are responsible of giving back what they have learned and seen. Next. So we have to take a decision now. And the decision is that we cannot continue just talking here and talking. We need to have this settled about the tea business. But in a business, we have to take decisions on the business model that has been brought forward. And the decision at the end is one that the top management has responsibility for. So when the decision is taken, they cannot point to, although some are doing it, they cannot point to some of the employees and say it was your fault. No, because you took the decision that we should go into circular and sustainable business modeling. So you have to take the responsibility. So that is also why, at least the way I do leadership, and not as much management, in my research group is that if we have taken a decision, these young researchers came up and said, we should do this, and we are taking the decision, I back it fully up. Also, if it goes just down the drain and it is a big disaster, and if they make faults, I'll take the responsibility. I'm okay with that. So therefore, my you could say leadership style, management style, and also my proposal of doing this is that I think you should try to to empower the employees, because that will give you faster results on circular and sustainable business model. But you have to train them, learn them what it's about. Otherwise, it will go not so good. Yes, let's take the next. So letting go, letting come. And then we have the action plan, sitting around the B-star and taking a decision. And you can see the CEO, he's in good hands because he has all his people around him, all the competences and so on. So it's very easy to do the action plan and give the responsibility. So next. And then remember, plan on all 7 dimensions. Do not limit the planning just to one of the dimensions or 2 of the dimensions. You have to plan on all of them. And also, don't forget about the levels also. Yes, next. Then you have the plans, and I guess this is quite boring, but it has to be done. Production plan, marketing plan, communication plan, schedule, and all this, and set up the KPIs and who and how are we going to control it, and so on. And next. And then we fire the action. Good idea, also proposed in many books, is that we fire with lighting the candles and and all this, and then we go. And I know you know much more about it than I do, so that's definitely something that we have to pay attention to. Yes. And then we are in the performance, and here suddenly we get all the data that tells us how are we performing on it. And we have to have eyes on each of the business models. We have to have eyes on the success criteria. Are we meeting the success criteria? We have to evaluate continuously. And of course, it will not always be a success. So of course, many times we have maybe to do a correction because we have thought everything. Maybe there is some competitors that are reacting. I don't know. Yes, next. And next. I think that was the first thing I wanted to just to close the loop. And then I wanted, before we go to the T1, I just wanted in this first session to just have a little glimpse on what you have to pay attention to related to the exam. And can we have the vocabulary? The vocabulary in the file. It's just a Word file, I think. It's not a slide. It's actually. I hope you got it. Let me see. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So everything I have told about is in this vocabulary, and I will make it so that you have it, all of you. So when you go to bed tonight, you can just have it at your side of the bed with a good strong cup of coffee, and then you just go through all the terms. So we have conventional business models, and I have tried to show it. here. And then if we go scroll down, we have all with the business model ecosystem, we have the process, we have the vertical, we have the horizontal butterfly. That was the conventional. If we go further on, and then I have showed some examples. Also, we go further on. We have the horizontal. We talked about that. And next, we have the process, and I show some tools, and then we go one by one. The green business model, and if you go down again, we have the sustainable business model, and then we have the circular business model, and then we have the what? What do we have more? We have the circular and sustainable business model. So the argument was that it does not necessarily have to be sustainable, the circular business model. So it could be, so the way we were talking about it yesterday was that if you can put a S or a C, or if you feel that it's both, then a C and an S on the business model. You can read it. I don't think we should use and waste our time here. It should be very easy, and it actually reflects also some of the 50 questions that are in the multiple choice. So if you have them very core in your back head, then it should not be difficult to go through. To just help you a little bit now, the professor is not here, that is that there can be some tricky things in the questionnaire where you have free choice, and then some of them you have to read very careful on the choices, because there could be a word missing. So that when you read it, it looks as if it is okay, and then you do like this. But it could be, for example, that it's missing some, it's only saying, okay, a circular sustainable business model is one that is addressing 4 dimensions, but it actually has, yeah. I know it's just very simple, but don't forget about that. Also, maybe a little bit around this also is that you have to be aware that we talked about these standards on measurements of if it's sustainable and circular. At an optimum, you have to be, you cannot just have one that claims that it is a business model that is circular and sustainable. It has actually to be verified. And then because we have standards, it has to be verified up against the standards. And then you have the challenge, as we also discussed, that is that if we use LCA, for example, then it's not better than what the standard says and has achieved until now. So in some areas, the standards has simply not been able to follow the speed of the ecosystem. Let me see if there's anything else I have No, I don't think I have forgotten. Are there any questions? Are you nervous? Then we will, of course, have some medicine outside here that can help you for the exam. And we will have, I guess, hot coffee and hot tea, green, black, some with vanilla, some without, and so on. So you should actually feel not nervous, and please sleep tonight. And it's coming up on Thursday. That's some days from now on. Or is it already tomorrow? Tomorrow. Okay. Yes. So with these words, I think we will end the first session, and then we'll go to have. Yeah. And also, as I have put everything, all the material, everything is based on the course and the material that I have mentioned and so on. And if you feel that you should have more on this, then yes, I'm open. Okay. Then I think we have a session tomorrow before exam. Yes. Shall we go for trying this and see if we can find the business model for upcoming circular sustainable business model for the tea business? Yes. Okay.